The list of the 7 deadly sins has left out the worst one. For if you want to know the reality and act in it with your creative powers, dependency will do you in. It is not listed because it is often hidden and occupies our perception that we are not aware of how tyrannically it binds our lives. Dependency is subtle and disguised. It is just the wish to have some kind of parents. Dependency is a fantasy. In that fantasy, those parents know what you should do. They give you what you want and need. They are powerful, for they can control what you cannot. Love, anger, fear, sickness, age, and death. They love you as if they are your real parents, and make no demands except submission. They will provide if you bend your knees. In dependency, tyranny is sought. For the more tyranny, the more comfort in a parent's power. But who are the parents of our adult years? Anyone will do. Husband, wife, son, daughter, boss, son-in-law, neighbors, the company, the lawyer, senator. Dependency is a disease. It is an insidious fantasy of protective power, looking down, guarding, judging, rewarding, and punishing you. The symptoms of this disease are helplessness, envy, vanity, jealousy, admiration, blaming, exploitation, and reproach. You are supposed to love me, no matter what I do. I have done my part. You see, submission, feeling small and frightened. Now you do yours. Consider the justified anger, the sweet despair, the mournful longing, the upward gaze, and the sullen pout that says, I can't do it. You're supposed to do it. Give me what I want and what I need. When the fantasy seems true, you are blissed out with God, life, or anything. Perhaps you thought you left it all behind you when you left home for college, job, or marriage. Not likely. In olden days in Eastern disciplines you might have sat before the monastery gates, or having entered failed another test, and been sent away. Many were called, but few were chosen. Why? Be free from greed. Be humble. Have courage. How? In old Vedas, there are exhortations to meditate, be sincere, and lead a virtuous life. But how? Do not grasp. But why do I grasp? Why is it so hard to let go? Texts say that self-reliance is essential. Remember, one is one's own refuge. Who else could be the refuge? So, why do we need to look for a guru? We have a science of psychology and learned about motivation and defense. We can provide help for the disqualified. We understand that opening the fist is more complex than sobering a drunken monkey. No external force can free us from dependency. it can adapt to any form. For example, an explorer in the Arctic may still be voyaging in a world of his childhood, watched and applauded by giants in the sky. Dependency is inside, hidden in motivations. It is supported in the badness of one's being by fear, wishes, and emotions. It is sensed potently bubbling in some inner volcano. Many mistrust the natural energy, convinced that they should control it. Otherwise, it seems, the universe would take reprisal if they were unbound. They seem to fear the world by fearing themselves, searching for some kind of parents to control it and them. When we are young, sometimes parents seem to cause us pain. To master this and maintain hope, we create meaning with two compartments, good and bad. Are my parents bad? That is catastrophic. Parents are the world. But if the world is bad, what hope do I have? Am I bad? This brings the hope that it can be controlled. If I am bad, it is within the circle of my will, and so the badness I felt without, I will take it within. That is called internalization. Anxiety is calmed, but the price is great. When the choice is made, I am bad, so I hate myself, the anger is entrapped, and it breeds mistrust of self. From the cauldron of that anger, demons emerge, and monsters stalk the cellars of our minds. Thus we grow into maturity, watchful of misshapen creatures locked in secret rooms within. Let go indeed. We will let go all right, down to the first floor perhaps. As for depths beneath, the keys stay in our pocket. The hidden anger is denied or projected to the outside world. Paranoia is our basic tool. Through transplanting the dangerous into that outside world, a hostile one is created, assisted by our anger and misinterpretations of the past. Who can trust the world? One needs parents. The world is full of murderous wolves. We need a leader to protect us. Dependency thrives on fear and hostile vision. Letting go means giving up control, allowing something else to be in charge. It requires trust, and trust can be withheld. Fear raises suspicions of an evil force, which needs to be controlled. The urge to master, to control, ensures our biological life. Control of the body, control of objects, acquisition, and defense become the master plan. When we are successful, those parents will always smile, and when not, they will frown. Think about it. Let go so that these arms can hold another. Let go when death commands. Not so easily. Control of time feels urgent. Letting go allows the wheel of life to turn and gather speed, permitting change, loss, and death. When holding on to what has passed, we inevitably turn to look behind us, witnessing departures. Letting go permits us look forward into the flow of new arrivals, the stream of gifts from the unknown. facing backwards, how can we receive? For example, for males, letting go is taught as being weak, passive, even very effeminate. And so we don't let go. Psychotherapy. First, one needs to relax one's hand and be helped out of the door of one's childhood home. The first level of schooling is not enough. Art, music, and dance are extras. Our schools are for the object world, the action mode, the me, it, mine, and time. They provide us with power over objects, but will not help us with what we need now. A second level of schooling is needed to learn what we have never tried to know, the process of our thoughts, the way we lay down, hide, secret workings of our fantasies, and forms of our fears. Psychotherapy can help us with information on developing and psychological defenses. In this science, dependency and letting go is studied. It embodies Western wisdom and includes rules from Eastern thought. For instance, you can hear Freud speak in Vedas. The truth of Atman is revealed when a qualified aspirant, instructed by an illumined teacher, practices the disciplines of self-control, meditation, and inwardness of mind. Let us examine this quote. The truth of Atman. Who or what are you? The answer is the enlightenment sought through spiritual paths. It is the justifying goal of a bewildering number of techniques which have been used as far back as history records. Is there a different goal for Western science? Not really. The physicist and the biologist go deep into the workings of life. Atman, the true self, is obscured by ignorance. The Vedas say that misinterpretations of the sensory world imprison man. The path of Freud seeks the truth of Atman, the nature of the real self. It too talks of demons of fear, guarding the treasures of the real knowledge. Freud says, self-inflicted blindness creates its own world and a paranoid view. I'll have you hanged, said a cruel and ignorant king to Nasreddin Hoja, if you don't prove that you are a mystic. I see strange things, said Nasreddin, a golden bird in the sky, demons under the earth. How can you see through solid objects? How can you see far into the sky? Fear is all you need. Psychotherapy holds up a mirror to the patient's mind, showing him his mental life. In the process, he disidentifies. You cannot be your emotion when you look at it. You can examine its taste and note its beginnings and end. Ramana Maharshi prescribed observing until I was there, and everything else was gone. Zen and Hasidim hammer at the I. Observation dissolves identity. Who are you? Look and see. If my name changes, am I gone? Whether lying on the analytic couch or sitting in the hot seat, the objective is the same, discovering a pattern you did not know nor realize and thought it was within you. The truth of Atman is revealed. an illumined teacher. In the East or West, you must have a guide who knows the way to freedom, back through the eye. The therapist must also have traveled the path. He must have reached a treasure on the road and persist until the patient or student finds it as well. He needs to be acquainted with demons, seeing how they are filled with air, inflation and deflation both. It is an illumination. When the patient's demon jumps out from behind a tree, the therapist should be less afraid than the patient. He must practice self-control and avoid feeding the patient to the therapist's own demons. Someone said to Bahuddin Naqshband, "You relate stories but never tell us how to understand them." He responded, "How would you like it if the man from whom you bought the fruit consumed it before your eyes, leaving you only the skin?" Idris Shah. Qualified aspirant. What qualifies you? Spiritual guides say sincerity. Psychiatric texts, on the other hand, say motivation. Sincerity, wanting to know in order to be free. Motivation, the wish to know, stronger than fear. In psychotherapy, a war is fought with fear. A traitor schemes within, in league with the old life, advising flight no matter what the cost. "Oh, I think I've got as much out of this as I can for the moment. I am thinking of stopping this week." Or, "It makes no sense." Or, "You cannot help me any more." Or perhaps, silence. You decide not to continue because you have got so close to something very important that your mind tries to run away. But Idris Shah says, when you feel least interested in following the way which you have just entered, this may be the time when it is most appropriate for you. You will always have doubts, but only discover them at a useful time, for your weakness to point them out. Courage, trust, humility, priceless qualities in searching for Atman. Who is qualified? Self-control. The patient or student must not run, and, when the monsters and witches rise from within the darkness, he must stand his ground in order to observe. No action prompted by anxiety can rule his mind. There should be no noise, no commotion, for only in stillness can one observe, just like the stillness in the eye of a hurricane. A Zen master instructs, "Just sit." "And then what?" asks the eager student. "Just sit," comes the answer. Meditation? Just sit. Become the witness, or, if you like, a free association. Let go of analysis by intellect, let go of interpretation, allow the stream to be itself, and watch. Stillness, watching. Meditation, free-floating attention. Just sit. The patient and therapist, student and guru, together watch the mental stream. By doing so, they learn this identification, and the road upon which they are leads them to two mirrors standing face to face. It leads to a stunning fall into infinite space, shattering theories and pretensions. The patient or student learns to identify by observing the ego of the analyst. Observing ego, you ask? A Zen master asks, "Show me your true self." A yogi asks, "Who is it that has the thought?" So pursue the observing ego and it steps behind you. The action mode becomes useless here. Why? Because our minds can only show us that our minds have failed. What can I do? Be still, watch, listen. If you have read about the lives of yogis, Zen masters, Sufis, Hasids, there comes Satori, enlightenment, followed by more work, more meditations, and everyday life. Inwardness of mind. The student or patient journeys inward to find their true self, inward into the ego, into the I, to understand how he has made his own world, his own demons, gods, and forms of perception. Intuition becomes refined. In ordinary life situations, intellect sits like a lid, containing the interior force, the nutrition of change, to keep focus on the outer world. That is its job. It is with outward energy we master the biological world. Our intellects are tools for a certain function, marvelous in use. The inward journey is a journey, and the path is long. The intellect does not resign. What was once a servant now rules the house and must be gradually restrained until once again it only serves our needs. That way we travel inwards to freedom, until inwards and outwards are the same. The truth will set you free. Understand yourself. Increase the scope of your awareness. Where it was, there shall ego be. Confront your demons, learn thereby that they are your own creations and at your command. Free yourself from attachments to the past, assumptions, conditionings, and from desire for the past, transference. Know that there is nothing to be afraid of. You create your own world, therefore there is hope and responsibility. Flow with the flow, for you are alive and the organic system is formed by interaction as well as by design. When the sufferer is the agent of his own sufferings, the doctor has a different role. Some day, all body ills may fall under the same dynamic, and there will be no division in the healing arts. Those forces of fear, love, and guilt must be examined. Ordinary reason cannot be trusted. Ordinary emotion cannot do the job. Finally, at some point, the student or patient must go alone. What he needs to learn by his own experience cannot take place in dependency on a therapist, guru, even a god. Dependency systems are all the same. They cannot pass you through the door. When you began aged 0, you did not assume that you were there. Maturing enabled you to find the pea under the shell of memory. Soon, your existence needed no proof. But it has changed. Where once it had been all sensation, now thought and memory had become real, in fact, most real of all. Emotions, thoughts, desires, and fear are mine. Mine becomes me, the collector of labels and possessor of things. I think, therefore I am. No, you are not your thoughts. They tell you that you are there. Have you ever looked at a picture illustrating perspective? Many dotted lines point at you, telling you that you are there. And so you are included as an object. Now color the object you with more thinking, emotions, desires, and fear. What about emotions? They at least are mine. Emotions are signals for response by the body and mind. They program your physiological circuits for a preset plan. Sadness slows you down and depresses you. It may be followed by a loss. For example, the loss of a mother, which may mean the threat of death for the baby, which may still wait for its mother's return. Depression serves a purpose: to conserve life. Anger mobilizes you for defense, not against abandonment, but against possible attack. Joy opens you, decreasing barriers to union, relaxing muscles, eyes, and your mind, thereby permitting a flow of energy outwards and inwards for the nurturing of growth and creation. This also applies to love, although it has different systems and many forms. Fear tells you that you are there. It rises in panic to sound alarm at the approaching end of the object self. We may not realize with what efficiency we function. For instance, we may feel sad, not knowing why. Our emotions have been elaborated and woven into a symbolic world. Our rage can turn within, killing us. Our grief can slow us down to a dull coma, conserving energy against the return of a lost bank account we do not need. Love can short-circuit, turning energy back to us, but never passing beyond our mental skin. The mirror of the school shows you your many selves, shifting, changing. I of intention, I of I am, I of emotions, the I of possession, I of the body, and the I described by others. They all function in their own unique ways, and you need them all. Unlearning, however, is a step to freer use. But you cannot use what is weak or hidden. Spiritual schools teach letting go of self. Imagine a student knocking at the door with a large head set on a sunken chest and spindly legs, announcing with intellectual fervor, "I surrender." What a prize! But there cannot be a harvest before the crop is grown, before the self is ripe. When the conceptual self disappears, and the head is gone, the intellectual has little left. Without the body self, without knowing you are there, in your breath, in your belly, in your thighs and chest, what will rescue you from panic when you disappear? No wonder the schools have strange routines depending on circumstances. 5 or 7 chakras, say the texts, form the path and the source of energy, which needs to flow. Many routines work, but for whom are they right? One may need to go to a teacher, a guru, or even a doctor. If what I am saying is helpful to you, then you are able to use me as a teacher. If not, you will not be able to. It is not a big deal, nor tragedy. All we can do is learn when we are ready to do so. It takes an interest in trying to understand our own nature. That provides freshness and joy of discovering the new, yet unseen, yet uncontrolled, and that which is the aliveness of growth. There is nothing to be afraid of, nothing to lose. There is only the experience of learning, freedom, interest, and wonder at the vast reality beyond anything you have seen, but to which you belong. Action spells the end of the pre-self world. As this mode selects and shapes the world, it selects and shapes a self. This way you are born a second time. Danger, pain, and desire release energy, and the body grows as the world grows with it. However, the basic form remains. It can be likened to traveling in a spacecraft with different stages. A. The journey's end is unseen. Stage 1 is the stage of self, and it may take a long time developing the thrust which sets you free from Earth's gravity. B. You gather speed and arrive at a spiritual school where things look different. You meet a teacher, and work begins in preparing you for further flights. C. At the beginning you are delighted and encouraged by what you find. The wish for parents may have shifted to a guru, to learn and find your own way. Time and space alter as you do what you are told. Time and death are shaken, aging loses its terror, and loneliness fades away. It is like home for you. Oh, I am happy, carefree like a Zen monk. I am ascetic and pure like a yogi. I am full of love like a Sufi saint. Satchitananda, I am enlightened. And the teacher says, keep on sitting, working, reading. But teacher, I am trying, and it is of no use. Then give up. Cease your striving, just sit, be, and do. Allow and receive. D. The part of stage 1, which housed spiritual striving, the object's self, dependency and defenses, turns in empty space. What do you see beyond the self? When attention is gathered around the object's self, we detach from it, and the world comes in, occupying the space which had been us. Self beyond is momentary, timeless, endless, and eternal. Life is not fixed. Cessation of the object's self is but a doorway. On the other side, the self beyond, something intangible takes place, from which the universe is seen. That something is alive, and the self beyond is a process without an end. Now stage 2 spirals upwards, above our heads. Has self disappeared into everything? Watching. The trip should be enjoyed. Do not be fearful. Idris Shah says, there is no cause for fear. It is imagination. Blocking you as a wooden bolt holds the door. Burn that bar. Meanwhile, the world is a very real place, and there is much to do. After all this talk of schools, mystics, selves, spacecrafts, what is it that a truly realistic person should do? Even if you have found no teacher, you can still achieve a lot. There is plenty to keep you busy. Start now and waste no time. You need to watch to see who has been in charge. Up until now, you might have been an automated slave. Yet part of your training was to think, I am free. However, you are constantly bombarded with, you are selfish, hurry up, or you will miss it. You are wonderful. You are sexy. Here is your chance to work hard. But what will they think of me? Then you are not free. Begin by watching. You may try depression. Sink into your bed, suck your lollipop until Mama comes home. Remember, you have been deprived of what you need and you are defective. Watch those negative thoughts do their dance. What is the use? I will never make it. Watch and walk away. How about falling in love? That is a feeling. Do you need to watch that also? I am gloriously me when I am in love. Fine, but just watch. Watching is a powerful sword. It cuts fantasies with one clean stroke. Watch your usual self. Which self are you? A housewife? A bright young man? A wise old man? Be a person you like. The curtain is open and the audience never goes home. Once you watch it, you are off the stage. Now you can join the audience. Furthermore, there are several kinds of vision when you are on the stage. A. The painter's vision. Your eyes sweep like the artist's brush on the canvas of your world. You are certainly familiar with the paint of depression. B. Reverse vision. The eyeballs almost turn on fantasy and remembered dramas. You are like a man sitting backwards on a donkey, convinced you are facing forwards. C. Limbo vision. This is the commonest sign of an actor. Not here, not there, somewhere in between. Your vision stops before it reaches the live reality of a face, the tree, the scene. You can just identify a friend or foe. Only the outlines are registered. However, it is not enough to watch. At some point, you have to act defiantly. Once you discover what is going on, it is time to rebel. Your words and thoughts are in the pay of the opposition. Words and thoughts evolve to help us manage an overwhelming world. Indeed, the biological world is a gaggle of mouths, devouring each other until all are swallowed in turn, and we have become the largest of them all. It is also as if the Wizard of Oz had become so engrossed in the puppet head he made that he prayed to it for help and forgiveness. We are educated in precision. Ambiguity is the sin of science. We might have thought that it had been cast off until we had to grapple with the macrocosm and microcosm. The more precise our scientific terms have become, the more error they have led us to. Not only do we grant our symbols more reality than the experience underlying them, but the abstract arrangements of those symbols and concepts create a picture of this world which is grossly in error. You may see boundaries where there are none, because the clock of your perception ticks at a certain rate, and the microscope of your eyes is adjusted with a certain lens. Unless frozen in a photograph, actual movements cannot be regarded as objects. Now set your video camera to take one picture every 100 years, and even the mountains will flow like ocean waves. Where do you stand in the infinite scale of time and space? Look behind you. Time slows. Ahead of you, it is quickened, and forms dissolve. Living forms are not in being. They are happening. Activity, change, and process are the substances of this world. The concepts which humans created to become instruments in managing their planet have become instead their masters. Rebellion begins with the realization that you are in a conceptual and perceptual cage of your own making. That cage has covered all of us. Realizing this, you need not be gulled into buying shadows, anxiety, loneliness, and death, the monster companions of men, products of our own abstractions. Experience does not contain them, as they are born in thought and memory, not in the now. Without the concept of an object's self, there is no loneliness. Without the phantoms of imagination, anxiety retreats and disappears. Time, death, and self have no power. They are servants, unworthy to command. How can I go there, outside? Everybody knows it is hell. Yet nobody has passed those walls, and they all seem to know it is hell. You may have been told the same. During your childhood, you learned the terrors of the night, filled with your own nightmares. The needs of the child are preserved intact and used to establish laws for adult years, as if the needs were still the same. Nobody is allowed to leave. It wakens us. Serve us, and we will take care of you. You need us. Outside is death and loneliness. Unless you join us, you will not make it. Otherwise, you may be called all sorts of names: insane, freak, uptight, an outsider. But what is it really like outside the walls? After all, some people have gone there and said it was fine. Even better than behind the wall. Of course, they are considered as crazy mystics, foreign freaks. Still, why not have a look? Shibli was asked, "Who guided you into the path?" "A dog," he answered. "One day I saw him almost dead with thirst, standing by the water's edge. Every time he looked at his own reflection he was frightened. Finally he cast away fear and leapt into the water, and the other dog vanished. He found the obstacle was he, and the barrier melted away. In this way my obstacle has also vanished." When fear departs, the encircling army melts away, although ignorance may still remain. Quitting. A young man and a teacher were animatedly talking together. I see you hate the world. Student. Yes, I do. I have an idea which might help you. I'll do anything. But it is very difficult. I will do it. It is this. Whatever you do, you must enjoy, no matter what it is, or you must not. But that is impossible. Besides, there are only a very few things one can enjoy. I was afraid of that you would react this way. Come back in a year's time. A year later, the young man came back and was very happy. Good, said the teacher. Now that you love the world, perhaps you can be of some use to it. Like many others, this young man had tried quitting. Would you like to try it for the next 10 minutes? Do you know what it is like to stop and give it all to yourself? Try it. Do not worry about your body or your thoughts. Just quit. What was it like? Maybe you have not been able to. If so, you know the whole point. You are driven. Now stop again, even if you have done many meditations and know all about it. Quit now for the next 10 minutes. You may find that a whole new world emerges which looks different. When the outward pressure of your mind relaxes, it leaves space which can be filled. Let the entire world enter. Get acquainted with your guest. Rest a while. This is how it feels when I quit. You will have your own description. You can try it again if you wish. Once in a Zen session, the master said, "Show me yourself. Find it, look for it, and bring it to me." You know what happens when you try it? You watch the contents of your mind. Every thought, feeling, and separation grows. You become the watcher. We have chanted in the early morning for many days. On the 5th day, the words needed me not. They marched across the page, the world existed, and I did not need to be. Let go, it whispered, and be gone. At the moment of my vanishing, the world changed abruptly and sharply. All the others meditating with me were like Buddhas, perfect, radiating their perfection in awesome beauty. Action mode and the receptive create two different worlds. In one, the object self rules, served by linear time and thought, dedicated to control. In the other, beyond self, perception replaces thought and now replaces time. If and when we quit, if and when we stop, the past, now, and the future can harmonize. Have you ever been a channel doing something fantastic and said, "No, it was not me. They did it," or "God did it"? Lastly, the Vedas declare, it is not action which brings suffering, but greediness of the mind for the result which strengthens our bondage in the world. You are freed when you serve a task, doing what is needed, what the moment calls for. Working selflessly, you walk away from the spider's web. The most precious jewel of so-called civilization is the chance and possibility of freedom. The freedom to be what we really are, in its unique form, with full strength and potential, for that is our heritage. Uniqueness and autonomy should never be surrendered. It seems that our fear of surrender arises from a confusion of modes, judging of one realm by the concepts of another. Our education in action mode has truly preempted our minds, narrowing our lives. Meanwhile, that experience of the self beyond is minimized or overbalanced by the action mode. Although that mode has made freedom from material needs and disease possible, it has also brought us to the edge of disaster. The receptive mode, the intuitive mode, the allowing mode is needed now for human survival. It has always been there in time of need, which is also now, but we have failed to use it. Humans have tolerated living in an odd, abstract world constructed and maintained by forces of indoctrination to which they all subscribe, knowingly or unknowingly. Schools, family training, college, newspapers, job requirements, and so forth, all flying the flag of self, acquisition, socially approved conquest and control. That is not enough anymore. A new realism is needed. There is no time to free ourselves unless it helps the world at the same time. Can it be done? How? Watch what draws you back into the prison rooms. What holds you there, like a spider's web? Attachments to objects make man blind and deaf, said Muhammad. Notice the attachments: money, approval, pleasure, or other things. Trace them inside. When you look inside, you can see their shape. Realize that it is the personal self, a phantom built of our desires, memories, emotions, virtues, skills, the color of our hair, everything we have won, built, and call our self. We were taught to be us, me, you. And we have used the action mode to spin the web, and we are caught in it. However, the action mode is important, for it preserves our biological self. With it, we preserve others. We need that mode to play our role in man's journey. As Vedas declare, it is not action that brings suffering, but the greediness of the mind for the result that strengthens our bondage in the world. Desire sustains the object's self and feeds it. Desire is the wish to have. To have, we must be objects. After all, there must be something that can have something else which is desired. There we stand, object to object, and the trouble starts. It seems that whatever we desire, we must get and keep. There is disappointment from expectations, and there is fear of loss. Me and my objects must be preserved. They become hated from fear as they are loved from desire. This way, we suffer from desire. What else can there be? First, we may need to stop wanting all things. Look, admire, and walk away. When you give up wanting all things, your problems will disappear. What is left? Experience, acting, and something more. We are free to feel the currents just like hang gliders and be carried away whilst acting at the same time. The old traditions speak of service, performing an action without a thought of gain. You are freed when you serve a task, doing what is needed and what the moment calls for. Working selflessly, we walk away from the spider's web. Do you remember the story of Tanzan and Ekido when they met a young girl trying to cross over a muddy road? When they returned back to their monastery, one of them said, "We monks must never talk nor touch girls." The other answered him, saying, "I have left the girl there. Are you still carrying her?" By understanding the cause of our suffering, we break the circle. Heaven means freedom, harmony, and love. Suffering is a function of self-concern. By freeing ourselves of self-concern, heaven arises as our brand new being. All three realms are in our everyday life. Every day is the path for alleviating the misery of the world. When you ask, "What should I do?" you ask for help. Helplessness has its own function, and the body and mind cooperate in the task of being cared for, being helped, or even pitied. Being cared for is good, but it is an activity like any other. The question, "What should I do?" does not lead to a realistic action. Therefore, let us ask a different question instead. Where does my energy want to go? Unaccustomed to asking, you may not hear an answer. Try a fantasy. Visualize that you are free, unafraid. What would you want to do? Go ahead, close your eyes, imagine that all your fears are gone, and you are strong. What came to mind? What did your energy show you? Was it something unreal? Or did it show you pleasure? Pleasing yourself may be the very first step. It is a test to know that you are free. What else would be fun to try? Ask that question again. Where does my energy want to go? Close your eyes, listen, feel, and watch what you are shown. All these things have been true for many, like myself. They have helped them and me to stay afloat on the wild ocean of our own worlds. These are truths about the human world, yet they are not enough. For a long time I have continued seeking an end to my restlessness. My dissatisfaction could be calmed down only a little, but the words would return, saying something is wrong. And it is not pessimism. We all need solid ground under our feet, not all emotions or more abstractions. When we learn what it is we really have to do, as we do it, the confusion of the world begins to clear. We have learned by listening to those stories. They are not secret. You can buy books now, and although the stories may be strange, some simple, some fantasy, some rich in content, and others sparse, they are all strangely powerful. They can teach us about what we are and what we are for. This teaching has worn 1,000 costumes to fit the cultures of the past, and it moves on, while its costumes remain behind. At present, old and interesting costumes abound, good for playing games. These teachings are still alive and here today. Although they may be hidden in contemporary clothes, they remain effective for the right time, place, and people. The Magic Monastery. There was once a quiet dervish who often used to attend the weekly meals given by a generous and cultured man. It was known as the circle, or the assembly of the cultured. The dervish never took part in conversations. He simply arrived, shook hands with all present, sat down, and ate the food. When the meeting was over, he would stand up, say a small word of farewell and thanks, and go his way. Nobody knew anything about him. Yet when he first appeared, there were rumors that he was a saint. For a long while they all waited for the time when he would impart his wisdom, telling their friends that they sensed a spiritual distinction with him. Gradually, however, they felt no relationship with this man. Guests began to suspect that he was probably an imitator, even a fraud. Yet he seemed to do nothing about it. He did not even proffer a proverb to the conversation, and drew no attention to himself. One day, however, the dervish spoke. "I invite you all to visit my monastery. Tomorrow night ye shall eat with me." This was unexpected, and caused a change in the opinions of the whole assembly. The dervish was poorly dressed. He must be mad. What could he provide? Perhaps it was a test, and that he would reward them for their patience. "Beware, he may well be trying us, to lure us into his power," they said to one another. Yet curiosity led them to accept his hospitality. The following night the dervish led them from the house to a hidden monastery of such magnificence that they were all bedazzled. It was full of disciples carrying out every kind of exercise and task. The guests passed through contemplation halls occupied by distinguished sages who rose in respect, and the feast surpassed all powers of description. The visitors were overwhelmed. All begged him to enroll them as disciples forthwith, but the dervish would only say, "Wait until the morning." But in the morning the guests found themselves not in the luxurious silken beds they had been conducted to the night before. Instead, they were on the ground within the stony confines of a huge and ugly ruin on a barren mountain-side. And the dervish was not there. No arabesques, no libraries, no fountains, no carpets could be seen. "The infamous wretch has tricked us with the deceit of sorcery," shouted the guests. They alternately consoled and congratulated each other for their sufferings. Many of them attributed their escape to their own purity of mind. They did not know that by the same means which the dervish used to conjure up the experience of the monastery, he made them believe they were abandoned in a ruin. They were in neither. He now approached the company from nowhere, and said, "We shall return to the monastery." He waved his hands, and all found themselves back in the palatial halls. They all repented, for they immediately convinced themselves that this had been the test, and this monastery was the reality. Some said, "It is as well that he did not hear our criticisms, even though he teaches us this strange art." But the dervish waved his hands again, and they found themselves at the table of the communal meal, which they had, in fact, never left. Dervish was sitting in his customary corner, eating his spiced rice as usual, and said nothing at all. They all watched him uneasily for a while, then heard his voice speak as if within their own breasts, although his lips did not move. While your greed makes it impossible for you to tell self-deceit from reality, there is nothing real which a dervish can show you, only deceit. Those whose food is self-defeat and false imagination can only be fed with deception and false imagination. Everyone present on that occasion continued to frequent the table of that generous man, but the dervish never spoke to them again. After some time, the members of the assembly of the cultured realized that his corner was now always empty. Shah. The truth is very strong and very real. There is no cause for fear. It is the imagination blocking you as a wooden bolt holds the door. Burn that bar.